NXT starts off with Miles Bourne. He cuts a promo. He basically ends up mentioning the Battle Royal. He basically ends up cutting, the typical babyface, real passionate underdog promo. He ends up mentioning, him winning the Battle Royal last week. Ends up mentioning him being deaf and him overcoming the odds and him saying that he doesn't want to be known for, him having a disability. He want to be known for his in-ring ability. Then Ethan Page comes out, basically ends up saying that he doesn't think that Miles Bourne he's not ready for the NXT Championship match and that he doesn't deserve it, and that he wants him to put his contendership on the line in the match. And Charlie ended up basically manipulating Miles into accepting the match, and Miles Bourne ends up accepting the match, which ended up leading down. They end up having a match later on the show, which Miles Bourne ends up picking up the victory. Don't really need to go that in depth on the match. It was a fine match with Miles Bourne picking up the victory. The main thing I really took away from this really is just Charlie and and Miles Bourne's interaction, really, because they've been teasing this a bit where it seems like they're trying to do a potential breakup. Because right now, what they're kind of doing like an Austin Theory, Grayson Waller kind of um like tag team, well, not tag team, kind of like storyline where they have both partners or both members of their groups or whatever kind of like setting each other up, because last week Charlie tried to get him to give up his spot in the give up his spot, his championship opportunity. So Miles ended up setting him up to face Oba this week, which Charlie Dempsey ends up losing. Oba Femi completely destroys him. But I'm interested to see what they do with No Quarter Catch Crew, because it's very obvious that Oba Femi is going to win. Kind of wish Oba Femi would have interacted with Miles Bourne due to next week is the go home show. But nonetheless, this was fine. I'm not too mad at what they did here, but it was somewhat entertaining. But the main thing, I am somewhat interested to see what they're doing with No Quarter Catch Crew, because I'm still somewhat confused. Because it's like I could see them potentially breaking them up, but at the same time, I feel like they should just stick together at the same time. So we'll see how this plays out, though. But hopefully, they continue to build this whatever they're doing with Miles Bourne and Charlie, whatever, because the men's division is lacking. So hopefully, they continue to build with these men, because keep relying on TNA talent and keep relying on Obafemi and Trick Williams to carry that division. You can't just keep doing that, okay? Like, eventually, you got to build up new stars. So hopefully, this is it. Afterwards, we ended up getting Tony D'Angelo versus Wesley. This match ended up getting set up due to last week. They ended up having a segment backstage. The typical segment where they just have a random babyface by themselves or talking to someone, and then the heel just starts talking trash. That's basically how this match um, became official. During the match, towards the end of the match, Channing Stacks ended up popping up on the Titantron, and he basically ends up, talking to Tony D'Angelo, distracting him, and he ends up saying that he found the safe house where Adrian Rizzo is staying, because he knows where the safe house is at, because due to them being longtime friends and him being in the family for so long, he already knew where the safe house is at. He and Tony D'Angelo gets distracted. This allows Wesley to pick up the victory, and then later on, we end up getting Tony D'Angelo ends up immediately leaving the arena, going, of course, to the safe house where he eventually ends up making it. And Channing Stacks basically sets him up and basically ends up sneak attacking him. This was the best thing on the show. It was the only thing that I would say that really mattered on the show. This show was somewhat similar to Raw, I'm going to be honest, even though I thought Raw was slightly better because I feel like stories advance a little bit more. This show was very mid, nothing really advanced outside of maybe this. But this was the best segment of the show. He ends up attacking him, basically ends up saying that he's going to take down the D'Angelo family. And that's really it. But this segment overall was really good. I like, I like the setting of them being outside of the NXT arena, him being on the this has been the best thing on NXT for a while now. So I love what they've been doing with Channing Stacks and Tony D'Angelo, and I'm hyped for the go home show. Hopefully they build it up really well, because I'm excited for the match. It's one of the few matches I'm excited about at Battleground, because Battleground I'm not really that excited about due to the build, but overall this was the best thing on the show. Afterwards, we ended up getting Tatum Paxley and Thea Hill. This segment ended up This match ended up becoming official due to a segment where Tatum Paxley is freaking out, and she's basically going through a mental breakdown due to her having no friends, because Shotzi, it got released. Well, she didn't get released, but they're not going to resign her. And then Gigi Dolan got released. So she's having a mental breakdown due to all of her friends leaving her. And then Thea Hale and Carmen Petrovich was together, and she's basically ends up calling out Thea Hale, saying that Thea Hell isn't who she says he is, that she's just going to leave Carmen Petrovich and she's not a real friend. Then they end up having the match. The match happens, and Tatum Paxley ends up getting herself disqualified because she was in a submission hold, and she was trying to gouge the eyes of Thea Hill, and she continues to do that until security was able to get off her. Okay, I like what they're doing here. I like the story. It fits Tatum Paxley's character with her being obsessed with people and her being able not being able to be alone, and her being too attached whenever she does get a friend. It fits her character perfectly. I like what they're doing here. I'm not gonna really get my hopes up in terms of her winning championship gold because I already done that twice, and I have given up on that, so I'm not even gonna get my hopes for that. Now the story I do like, and I do like the heel because I can see this going two ways. Either Tatum Paxley becomes a full heel, or they end up making her go back to being a babyface. Now, one thing I found interesting was that she was getting cheered when she was attacking Thing Hill, which just proves that she is still very over with the crowd, which is a good thing. But I just found it very shocking that she was getting cheered while attacking Thea Hill, who is also an over babyface. But yeah, this could go two ways: either her going full heel, or she could potentially become friends with Thea Hill and they could become a little dynamic, which I actually think works perfectly. I think Thea Hill and Tatum Paxley being quote unquote friends can actually work, but I prefer this being more of a rivalry and them feuding against each other, which I think could be very interesting because I do think the women's division in NXT needs a feud because when eventually Soruka and Zara, whenever they feud, they need something else because right now that hasn't started yet. We need something else because the women's division is just the Stephanie Vicker show right now, so it'll be nice to get something away from Stephanie Vicker that they could build around, but we'll see how that plays out. Then we end up getting Joe Hendry and Trick Williams, their contract signing. I'm not going to really go over what they said because everything they have said is nothing new. They have basically took every jab at each other. There isn't anything they said that hasn't already been said. So I don't really need to go over this segment really. I'm just more so going to speak about the match and the potential outcome because there are some people, mainly on Twitter, who actually believe that Trick Williams has a shot of winning this title, which I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very unlikely. I just don't see it. I just can't. I just don't see a world where either WWE or TNA would allow their main title to be won by the other company. The only way I could see this ever happening is if they have an actual agreement where we'll let you get the first victory, where like they allow Trick Williams to win TNA title, and then sometime down the line they'll be like, all right, now it's your turn. That's the only way I could ever see that, and even then, it's like I just don't see it. Now I'm not gonna say it can't happen because if I say it can't happen and then all of a sudden it happens, then I look like a moron. But I'm excited for the match, and it is a big deal because this is the first time that a TNA championship is TNA World Championship is no, this is the first time because Moose didn't defend his title if I'm not mistaken. I think it was only am I not no, Moose did defend his title if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Moose did. This is the first time that the TNA World Championship is defended on WWE. Yeah, because Moose did defend his title. Nonetheless, I'm excited for this match. This has been a solid build. This is one of the better builds towards Battleground, so we'll see how this plays out. Then we get the main event. Stephanie Jordan Grace versus Fatal Influence. Now this segment ended up this match ended up becoming official due to Fatal Influence ends up interrupting Stephanie Vicker promo, and they basically end up going back and forth, basically saying that they're going to be next in line for the women's championship. Then you get Jordan Grace, and this became this weird, awkward like promo between the four of them where they're all like talking through each other, and you just have Fatal Influence constantly like being like a third wheel between Stephanie and Jordan Gray. It was very weird. It was like they was trying to be like instigators, but they was also trying to be like they was also trying to be serious while trying to like pretend like they're it was very weird. It was like they was trying to instigate a rivalry between Jordan and Stephanie while also trying to like convince themselves and try to portray themselves as a real threat. It was very weird. And then they're also teasing the potential breakup of Jacy Jane and Fallon at the same time while they're doing this because they keep getting in each other's way during it was very off, very weird, just random. We all know why this segment even happened. They needed to waste TV time because this match shouldn't have happened. I did not watch this match. I only watched the last 2 minutes of it. The babyface won. I'm not gonna really go that in depth. I already knew Fatal Influence was going to lose, and I knew that this why this match happened. This match happened because of TV time. They end up doing what they did yesterday on Raw, where they end up having Jordan Grace hold the championship and with Stephanie Vaquer stare at it, and that's the end of the show. Um, this show is very mid. I'm just gonna be honest. This show is very mid. NXT was a show that I used to be very, very excited about. Now it's just very up and down. And I swear this is all started the moment Julia arrived. I swear. I'm not even trying to hate, but I swear the moment Stephanie and Julia arrived to NXT, it's been like this. Maybe I'm tripping, but that's just for me. This show is just very mid. But you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.